right, we're here with Jared Bush, the Chief Creative Officer of Walt Disney Animation Studios. Jared, congrats on Zootopia Better Zoogether.
Thank you.
With this being a 9.5-minute long show, when you're writing the script, how do you start at the script, ensuring that emotional attachment hits so quickly compared to a movie that you have an hour and a half to build up that story?
Oh man, it's a great question. I'd say the story really begins with Imagineering. So early on, we talked about what type of story could be told. We knew that we wanted to visit a lot of biomes, of course. We're here in Disney's Animal Kingdom, so we knew we wanted to see biomes and see how they all intersected. And they had a lot of great ideas from the beginning, so it was honestly just a lot of back and forth. What would our characters do that also needed to make sense with what the attraction was going to be. And for me, it's really it's a very sort of bite-sized view into the way that Nick and Judy solve a case in a most entertaining way possible.
Awesome, thank you.
You had mentioned there's some characters in here that if you haven't seen Zootopia 2, this might be your first introduction to.
Yes. Yeah, so you'll see Nibbles, Nibbles Maplestick. She's a beaver, she lives in Marsh Market. She has an important part here, which is great. We also have our walrus, Russ, who you'll see. They sort of have a back and forth, and technically you see Gary the snake for like half a second right at the very end.
One of the things that makes Disney unique is you have all these different creative studios, and when you partner with Imagineering, you get to work together.
Yeah.
Much in the spirit of this attraction. Have you been inspired as you're working on Zootopia 2 and this attraction, and by their creative energy as you work together?
Oh, I mean, all the time. For me, working with Imagineering is this unbelievable dream. I grew up going to the parks. I'm a huge parks nut. My entire family parks nuts. So to be able to work with them is incredible. They have a very similar approach to storytelling. The amount of time it takes to build something is very similar to ours, and so there's this deep thoughtfulness that happens as a result. But that back and forth, I think there's always this desire to want to elevate something, to improve something, and that's something that I think both Imagineering and animation, that's sort of one of our first tenets to do, and so it's been just a real joy to work back and forth.
No complaints from me, but Clawhauser's a favorite.
Yeah,
How did
right.
he end up being the one that you all selected for the audio animatronic?
Oh, well,
Was it an easy choice?
I mean, the easiest choice in the world, right? I mean, Clawhauser's so lovable and fun. If there's going to be anyone who wanted to sort of bust into this Zoogetherness Day celebration, it would have to be Clawhauser. And just as an ambassador of the world of Zootopia, he's perfect. Nate Torrance, who voices him, amazing.
Incredible,
The easiest choice in the world.
And his passion shows too, which is really fun.
Yeah, you can hear his passion right now.
Right now, in the other room, yep.
Yeah.
Creating a story that is going to be in the Tree of Life Theater probably poses opportunities as well as challenges,
Yeah.
just based on time alone.
Yeah.
But also, how do you ensure that this sort of next chapter in the overall Zootopia story fits in with the overall mission and messaging of Disney's Animal Kingdom as a whole?
Well, they're so closely aligned. I think when you look at the film Zootopia, it's really a celebration of animals and the animal world. The whole design of the city of Zootopia is that all these biomes exist together. The way the whole system works is they're really interconnected, which is one of the major tenets of this park. And so trying to come up with that collaboration made so much sense for us. Of course, it's an amazing responsibility. I think that's why partnering with Imagineering is so critical to that. And I think anytime through the process where it felt like we needed to push harder to make sure, man, this really is going to make sense in this place, was really easy back and forth for both animation and Imagineering.
I got one more. If that's it's a twofer.
I love it.
A new Easter egg that's in like either the queue or the attraction that you really love that pays homage to Zootopia. And is there an old Easter egg from the previous "It's Tough to Be a Bug" that's like held on to?
Oh man, yes. Well, it's tough because I never like to spoil an Easter egg. I just say that one of the really fun things is actually discovering those. So. Same way with our films is that you'll watch it and you'll realize, oh my gosh, there's these little moments that someone has put in there that's perfect. I will say that they surprised us yesterday. There's a newspaper in the queue that has I'd say a few names in there that I was not expecting. That was great. Of course, you may recognize an enormous dung ball that you'll see down there, and how they were able to use that again. So that was a treat.
Cool, very cool.
What's it like to create stories in an immersive world where you're not just having a film screen, you have water effects, you have audio animatronics.
Yeah.
How does that affect your storytelling brainstorming process?
Well, it's interesting. I'd say that though we work in film, we really think about the immersive quality just making film alone, regardless of whether it would ever go to a park. I love the feeling of being surrounded. I think it's really important that Disney animation takes you somewhere with characters you love, but also immerses you in a world that you want to be in. So we actually think about that quite a lot. Something we talk about is, if this story was ever to be in a park, what would that feel like? That's really important to us. And so, to me, thinking about that is amazing. But then when you actually see it realized in real life, it's a very different thing. So thinking about it's more how do you take advantage of the fact that you can have these moments where there's water splashing on you or there's snow falling from the ceiling. That's an incredibly, really fun part of it. But I'd say, there's something specific about the world of Zootopia that really lends itself to that.
Going off that, did your animation team have to learn new techniques because it's in 3D?
Yeah. Well, interesting. So all of our films start the same way. And people are drawing 2D images, sort of very rudimentary sketches. But when we're actually moving the characters around, when we're animating, that's actually always in a three-dimensional space. So our films are actually natively in 3 dimensions. So that's something that our animators, they do every single day. So that translation to here was an easy one. Now that said, we have these amazing stereo teams or 3D teams, and they were really able to push what they do. Typically, if you were to go see one of our movies that's in 3D in a theater, that's not interactive, there's sort of a level that audiences anticipate what that is. For a show like this, you want things to really pop out of the screen, so they had the best time on the planet because they got to pull out all the bells and whistles.
So, something that might be complete coincidence, but with It's Tough to Be a Bug, you had the animatronic and almost like individual performances. With Zootopia, another big animatronic, multiple performances cutting throughout. Is that a complete coincidence, or was there any intention there to kind of honor what was there before, and since it already worked with kind of the blueprint itself?
I'd say that might be a good one to talk to the Imagineers about. I'd say for us, being such a fan of the parks, I think homages to anything that's ever been here. I mean, that's something, I'd say a hallmark of Zootopia is to throw these Easter eggs of things that have come before us or inspired us or are part of our childhood. So I think that's a big part of it. The specific mechanics, you'd have to ask them because my brain doesn't understand that part. I'm good with words on a page, and I like, seeing characters come to life, but actually doing it physically with technology, that's another brain.
And then I guess I could add on to that real quick. As you guys are collaborating on future projects, was there a big takeaway from this show while you're working with this project team that you think could impact future Disney animation experiences at the parks worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, always. I'd say, to me, it was such a good representation of how we work well together. I think when we come into the process, what that back and forth looked like, it was, for this show, it was perfect. And so thinking about when is it important to have a foundational conversation, or when is it important to talk about character personality that may inform an audio animatronic or the screens that you have in the background. Having those conversations early on is critically important. And so, as you can imagine, there's a number of things that have been talked about or some that haven't, and we're using that for now.
I think for any Disney attraction, it's about the way it makes us feel. And I've caught myself smiling the entire time, which I'm sure was a lot of what the intent was. But I think specifically for Disney's Animal Kingdom, I think there's also a mission and a message and a takeaway that we're supposed to have. What do you want, if you were to sort of explain it to your child, what would you want someone to take away from the attraction on a sort of a larger scale?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's truly that we're all interconnected. That's one of the major tenets of this park specifically. But I think in the show, you can see that all these biomes are interconnected, and that we are all in this world living in it together. And that, to me, is the most important thing, to see the enormous benefit of that, how it makes everyone better. But I think, to me, it really is that interconnectivity.
I got one last one, because it was really cool hearing that you started specifically animating this at Disney's Animal Kingdom Live. So for you personally, how cool is it? And I'm not going to say full circle because I'm going to hope the circle keeps getting drawn and you do a lot more. But how cool is it for you to see this kind of come full circle and now you're back here where it all started?
Oh, it's mind blowing. I mean, I think so many of us at Disney Animation, we're all kids ourselves still. To be in the park at all is always a treat for me, but to have something that, I remember, going on the safari track and looking at all the animals and just being blown away, and to be back here with this attraction opening for me is honestly, it's like an immense dream come true.
Well, and congratulations. Yeah, obviously, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's pretty awesome.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Any
Real
other
quick,
questions?
one last one.
Yeah.
I guess as the show's opening before Zootopia 2 releases, you've already hinted on that. As you have so much going on in your life now, leading animation studios, kind of diving back into this world of Zootopia, is there anything that like you can put into words of what that means now, having this show open and the movie coming out and
Yeah.
overseeing everything at the animation studio?
I mean, it is surreal. You know, I'll say that I love this world. I love these characters. Any chance I have to spend time with them, to me, is like it's this absolute treat. But it's also, you know, being able to hang out with your friends again. And I mean that both the voice actors, but also the characters themselves. I love it. I love it so much. So I'd say, yeah, it's one of the real joys of my job. Obviously, there's a lot going on right now. I love that there's a lot going on right now. I love sort of being flooded with entertainment, with emotion, with these amazing immersive worlds, and so I'd like to do this forever.